Workshop. Excited to have you here. My name is Patrick. I run the marketing department here at Art Storefronts. Been doing that for 6 years and change now, which means I've been spending 6 years and change trying to do what all of you guys are trying to do, which is how do you grow a successful art or photography business, especially in today's landscape where a lot of the rules have changed, right? The old ways of doing business are kind of going away, and we're sort of left with the new reality. Um, in addition to that, I talk to hundreds of you guys on a week in, week out basis. Been doing that for a long time now. You do that for any period of time, and pattern recognition becomes a thing, okay? I have heard every question. I've heard of every problem, every conundrum. And then in addition to that, we have a little bit over 5,700 customers at Art Storefronts. And so we study their data. We study their data very, very closely, very, very intently. And in so doing, I get to understand who is actually selling a lot of art and photography, who's selling the most originals, who's selling the most commissions, the most prints, the most metal prints, paper prints, frame prints, who's selling the most classes, additional revenue sources, and all of those types of things. And so I bring all that up to say, independent of whether you ever sign up for Art Storefronts or ever come on one of these again or ever read another email, I want this session to be valuable. I want you to be able to leave with some thoughts that you can bolt into your business and start making an impact right away, or at the very least, challenge your thinking in how you have been doing things up till now. So let me get into sort of the agenda for the call, and then I'll give you some details on it. So I'm going to start with a little presentation up front. After the and as the presentation rolls along, I should mention, I'm going to mention a number of links and reports and sites and videos and web pages and the like. A lot of those links that we'll throw into the chat, which is at the bottom. So at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's like a little chat bubble. And so you'll see a bunch of them pop in there. But don't feel like you need to click on everything or write anything down, because as soon as this thing's over, we grab the video from the session, we embed it in a web page, and we send you all the links of the various different things that we've been mentioning and talking about in the session. So that'll happen after the fact. As the show sort of rolls along, if you've got questions about anything, you want to get them out of your head, you can just throw them into the chat. And once we get to the Q&A section, I'll address those. What the substance of the presentation up top is going to be sort of how we view the art and photography markets, what constitutes the business model that you need to be practicing if you want to be successful and you really want to grow a business. And then after that, above that, is we do the demo process at Art Storefronts. What is a demo? It's like test driving the car. You get to see everything, see how everything works. And what happens when you request a demo, they're all over our site. We're going to be throwing links in here. They'll be in the emails I send you after the fact. But what happens when you do request a demo is someone from our outreach team will contact you, find out who you are, what you do, what your art's like, where your career's gone up till now. They will answer all your questions about pricing and about what we do, and then they schedule the demo, which is like an hour Zoom call, essentially, that walks you through all the features, all the bells and whistles, everything that we do for our customers as a business, Art Storefronts. But the presentation today sort of sits on top of all of that, because you need to sort of look at the world like we look at the world, I think, to be successful. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is turn hobbyists into paid artists, turn artists that have a side hustle into a full-time business, and continue to grow the ones that are already big. So that's sort of our raison d'etre, if you like. So I've got this presentation put together, and I should also mention too, we're streaming to a bunch of platforms. If you're one of the ones that are on there, like Clarissa Pua. Pua is a very Hawaiian last name. Aloha from Hawaii. I see those comments as well. So as the presentation rolls along, you guys can leave comments, and I can get into all those things. And Pamela, I see that comment. I'll get into that on the backside after the presentation. So without further ado, let's kick it off. And I have to sort of explain this whole thing, what I call the art selling pyramid, okay? And I believe this is a good, simple way to sort of explain the path to a successful art or photography business. In 2021 and beyond, I stole it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're familiar with this thing or not, it's a pyramid, and you have to sort the bottom blocks. And once you sort the bottom blocks, you can sort the top blocks. So in Maslow's case, like, the physiological needs, the bottom block, we all have to eat, we all have to sleep every day. Then you get up one more block and you can worry about shelter and security and getting fit and making money and then love, belonging, esteem, all that jazz. So, okay, let's start it off. So the bottom block of the art selling pyramid is attention, okay? And no different than in Maslow's needs, how sleeping and eating is a daily need, a quotidian need. So is getting attention for you guys as artists or photographers. I know conclusively, without having to ask a single solitary one of you on this question, that every person on this call has an attention problem. You need more eyeballs for your art, for your photography, to be able to sell it. Stated another way, you all have a marketing problem. I know that conclusively because I've talked to hundreds of you. I know that conclusively because every single solitary one of my customers still has a marketing problem. It's not something that gets solved overnight. It's not something that gets solved with one particular thing. It's something that we constantly need to be working on. Attention, quite literally, is the currency of the land that we live in. It is the currency of the land that we live in. Stated a few different ways. One, I would love to sit on this call and tell you that the best artist, the best art, the best photographer, the best photographs win. They don't win. The best art or the best photography that gets seen wins. That is the stuff that sells. It's sadly, it is not a meritocracy initially on your talent with a lens, or your talent with a brush, or your medium. It is a meritocracy on your marketing. That is what defines a successful art or photography business in today's day and age. I wish it weren't the case, but it is. And I have a couple of different ways of sort of spinning it, but the number one way that I love to be controversial and talk about the attention problem is I always ask, okay, who are some of the most powerful women in the entire world right now? Any ideas? It is the Kardashian/Jenners, okay? And we can all have an argument, a debate about how these women went and acquired the attention that they did, but we cannot have a debate about the fact that these women have not exactly flown commercial in the last 15 years, right? They all have $100 million a year businesses or whatever, crazy businesses, because they understand attention is the currency of the land. You could even state it another way, that if any of these surgically altered, well-endowed women decided to start painting tomorrow or decided to start a photography career tomorrow, they would have a $10 million business year one. Why? Because attention is the currency of the land. It's just that simple. So we'll get more into the attention as we go. The next block up of the pyramid has an outer portion and an inner portion. The outer portion is the business model, number one, and number two, a collector list. So let's talk briefly about the business model. You have to be selling direct. You have to be selling direct. There can be no one in between you and the end consumer. You have to be selling direct such that you retain the collector information, okay, on your buyers, such that you are able to build a collector list, okay? And, again, I've been doing this a long time. I have access to all of my customers' data, so I know the people that are actually making a lot of money. Not the ones that have the most social following or have the most prestige in the community, the ones that have actual businesses, okay? And this notion of a collector list, I originally got from Weiland. And this is this book he wrote, Don't Be a Starving Artist. It's an awesome book. It is a quick read. Why would you want to take that guy's advice? He's the #1 best-selling artist in the United States. Apparently, it's not even close. So the guy knows what he's talking about, right? What does Weiland say about a collector list? He defines it as someone that will purchase in upwards of 8+ pieces of art from him over the course of a lifetime. Sometimes it's many more pieces of art. So Weiland keeps creating. He raises his prices, and these people go along for the ride with Weiland, and they just keep buying and buying and buying. He goes in tactical in this book about how you take care of them, some of the things that he does. He puts them on his Christmas card list. He treats them like they're VIPs. He treats them like they're staying in the Four Seasons, right? And fundamentally, I would go out and say a collector list, okay, is without question one of the most important metrics for a successful art or photography business. The size of the list and the health of the list is directly proportional to how much revenue that business builds. Yeah, Tim, I love that you read that book. It's phenomenal, right? And stated another way, and this is just so important to say, you guys are all essentially just commission salespeople. As an artist, as a photographer, you're trying to sell your work. When you do sell your work, you're paid a commission for selling it. But if you don't go out and pound the pavement, if you don't go out and attempt to sell the work, then you get paid nothing, right? So having a collector list and having a healthy collector list takes you from a commission salesperson and it turns you into a commission salesperson with a base salary. Starts out small, maybe it's 5 or 10 grand a year, and then it grows from there. And as you grow the business, as you build the collector list, as you start taking care of it, you are automatically paid a base salary. And what ends up happening, to keep the math simple, you create a series with 10 pieces of work in it, and you're going to release it to the public on Wednesday. On Sunday night, you send it to your collector list. Hey, collectors, patrons, I appreciate you guys so much for the support. Just wanted to let you know I came out with a brand new series. It's got 10 pieces in it, and you guys get the first look. I'm going to release it to the public on Wednesday. And what happens is those collectors buy some portion of the 10 pieces, and maybe it's just one piece out of the 10, in which case you sold 10% of the work that you were about to create before the public even got to see it. In some cases, I see the percentages as high as 50, 60%. 50 to 60% of a new series that an artist create is bought automatically just because these people are maintaining a collector list. So it's literally you guys getting paid for waking up, for just creating, for going to your studio, okay? And it is so fundamentally important to a potential art or photography business, I can't even begin to tell you. It is the night and day difference. It was the difference between the people that COVID hit, people had collector lists, people didn't. The people that didn't, all of a sudden, were not selling anything and had no recourse. They didn't know what to do. They just, am I just going to sit and wait it out? All my galleries are closed. The show and fair circuit is closed. Versus the people that did have the collector list, okay, who just continued selling throughout the entire pandemic. It is fundamentally part and parcel one of the most important metrics that an art or photography business could have, and it underpins why the business model of selling direct is so important. You want to make it in this business, you want to control the rules, you want to not be able to have the rug pulled out underneath you, the business model and the collector list is where it starts. Once we're working on our attention, once we understand the business model, once we're building and nurturing a collector list, then there's 3 ways to sell art. I believe every artist, every photographer, number 1, needs to understand these 3, and then needs to deploy these 3 where applicable, okay? What's the best way? Everyone knows it. It's in person, face-to-face. Always has been, always will be. That's never going to change. Problem, though, okay, you, me, all of us are geographically fixed on this planet. We can't be in 100 different places at once, and we have to sleep, okay? And we can't have 15 conversations at once. So the next way is the website. You need to have the website. Your art needs to be on the website. It needs to be available for purchase. Once you have that sorted, the 2 of the most important, you can start working on the newest way, okay? The way the entire art and photography world is trying to figure out, and it's via live video. It's via live video in a one-to-one context or a one-to-many context, okay? Let's start with one-to-one. Let's say I follow Elliot here on Instagram, and Elliot's posting occasionally on Instagram, and I see one of Elliot's pieces, and I'm writing him a DM on Instagram. Elliot, that piece is really interesting. I'm actually looking for some art for a second home I've just purchased. I was wondering if we could jump on a video call and you could explain some of your pieces to me and what they cost and some options. And Elliot goes, no problem, Patrick. When do you want to do it? Here's the Zoom link. We jump into a Zoom call, exactly like we're doing right now. Elliot's holding up his pieces. He's merchandising them. He's talking about his inspiration. I'm getting to know him, and he sells the art, okay? Fantastically powerful way to sell art when you can't do it face-to-face. That's the one-to-one. What is the one-to-many? The one-to-many is selling your art via live video in what we like to call a live art show, okay? Now, the gentleman in question here, longtime friend and customer, Matthew Locke, he's a painter in Laval, which is in Quebec in Canada. And you can see he's in his garage studio, and he has a number of old works that he would like to move. He is talking about them. He is quoting price. He is streaming live to the various different socials, and he is taking questions in real time, and he's running a sale this way. He doesn't have to leave his house. This particular gentleman, over a 2-day period in the middle of COVID, so this was June 9th, 2020, sold, I believe, 62 pieces over these 2 sales for a little bit over $30,000 Canadian. He didn't have to leave his house. He did not pay a 50-50 split with a gallery. He maintained all the information on his collectors, and he had a massive shipping headache after this was all over. Okay, so you see something like this happen And you have to stop and go, whoa, wait a minute. This guy sold $30,000 worth of art himself just by turning a camera on and streaming live to the socials? And the answer is yes, he did. This is the most significant advancement in this industry in history. And so what did we do as a business? One, we were early to the streaming party. Two, let's just see if it's not just this guy, and let's see if you can duplicate it. So what have we done since? We have run show after show after show with our customers, various different disciplines, various different media types. This particular gal is named Meg. She's a painter from Kansas City. She was moving from one studio into another, and so she had a bunch of smaller pieces and color studies and warm-up labs for the main piece that she was going to do, and sketches and the like. She had 80 pieces in this particular show. The show went down on a Wednesday. She emailed her collector list on Sunday. She sold 46% of the show to her collector list before the show even started. In this particular one, I think in total she sold 70 of the 81 pieces for a little bit over $13,000 US. And again, you know, there were smaller sketches and like little pieces and such. And so that's how it's gone. But since then, we've run one show after another show after another show with artists, with photographers, different subject matters, different material, different parts of the United States and in foreign countries. People wearing white gloves and not wearing white gloves, and on and on and on. And it is absolutely, full stop, the future of how art and photography is going to be sold. It's not even close. And just to give some color, like, your industry is not an industry that has a ton of reports, okay? There's two big companies that put one out on a yearly basis. This one's by Art Basel. They call it the Art Market Report 2021. And sort of the disclaimer on this report, despite the fact I really like it and I think it's awesome, is these guys really only survey the top 5% of the market. So, you know, the people well over six figures a year would probably be the best way to say it. But it's a killer report, and I'm going to send you this. There's a PDF. The global art market, auction sales, dealer sales, art fairs and exhibitions, and online sales. And I love this online sales section because, and I quote, Chapter 5 looks at the online art market and the rapid evolution in sales in 2021. The chapter shows how the dealer sector shifted sales online in 2020 and at the development of online viewing rooms, OVRs. And it goes on to talk about how much art was moved in 2020, okay, and how much of it was moved via OVRs. Do you know what an OVR is? It's a snooty way of saying a Zoom call, okay? The dealer or the artist representative gets on a Zoom call, maybe the artist in some cases. They discuss their art, their photography, exactly like the example I used with Elliot earlier, and they're selling directly to the high net worth individual. The high net worth individual does not need to leave their house. You know, it's phenomenal. So that the point, the takeaway in that is it doesn't matter if you're just getting started and you've never sold anything, or you're at the very, very top of the stack. This is what the entire art selling and photography selling world is trying to figure out right now in tandem, because it's the future. And when you think about it, it's the next best thing to being in person. And there's so many different abstractions of it, okay? Like, you know, in my one buddy Matthew's case here, let me see if I can find this one. He had a gallery show booked in the middle of COVID. And obviously people had to wear masks and social distance and no one could travel. So he knew that. He still went ahead with the show. And he did the best that he could with the show, sold some art to his collector list before it, sold some art day of the show. And then what did we do? We ran a live art show in the actual gallery. And he's got a glass of wine in his hand. People are leaving comments. It's streaming to all the socials. And he's walking the show in the gallery, just like you would walk the show if you were in the gallery. And he's talking about the various different pieces. And people are asking him questions. And you know, this is just the future of how this is going to be, full stop. You can go and attend a gallery show and almost feel like you're there and talk to the artist and ask questions live and bid on the pieces. And you can see which ones have the red dots and which ones are sold. And there's just so many things to learn, so many different ways to spin this particular process. But it is just so incredibly intimate and you feel like you're right there, right? So this is the future of selling art, full stop. It's a thing that we spend a tremendous amount of time teaching our customers. It's a thing we spend a tremendous amount of time just learning how to get better and better and better at. And there's so much tradecraft that goes into it. So we can talk more about live art shows, but They're the future. Very, very big deal. So you have to have the three ways of selling art. You have to be working on attention. You have to have your business model in line, and you have to be building a collector list. Once you're working on all of those things, the top block of the pyramid is everything else. Have another revenue source in your business that's working? Fantastic. We love revenue sources. I don't care if it's a physical retail gallery or if it is a online Redbubble, Saatchi, Radiant 6, Fine Art America, Etsy, whatever you have going on, that's wonderful. But it's got to be in addition to working on the bottom blocks of the pyramid and working on them constantly. And the last slide in my presentation is just perspective. And, you know, one of the interesting things for me is that I talk to hundreds of you guys week in, week out. And one of the interesting things for me is on every single solitary week, there are people on these calls in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And what it makes me learn and realize is that you guys don't go through midlife crises. You don't all of a sudden decide at 50 that you're going to stop being a painter or stop being a photographer, and instead you're going to go drive Uber or become a restaurateur. Like, you guys are artists for life. So if you've had a career already and you didn't understand the business model and you were not building a collector list and you were not selling direct and all the various different things that I've outlined, you still have a lot of time to right the ship. Okay, you're going to be selling your art for the rest of your life. You can fix this and get on the path to where you're actually building the business. And also, to the perspective of how long it's going to take, right? It's a hard thing sometimes to hear that, you know, all of you guys, to a person on this call, you don't want to do any marketing. All you want to do is just create. You want to go out and shoot or be in your studio and paint, and you want someone else, okay, to take care of all of it for you. I know that. But guess what? The number one thing that you don't want to do is where the highest ROI is, which is actually work on marketing and growing the business. So having the perspective properly sorted and knowing how much time you have left to get this right and starting in and working on it it's the most important thing that you can do, full stop. You get that right, you have the right perspective in your head of how much time you have to do this, you're on the path to starting to grow a successful art or photography business, which is the whole ball game, right? So that's the presentation. That's the pyramid. I think it is critically, critically important. And at this juncture, I will open it up for the Q&A. A couple of different ways to do this. If you're one of the brave ones with your camera on, then you can do the old-fashioned hand raise. If you've got a question, I'll see that. I can unmute you, bring you in for a question. If you are in a scenario where you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. I hate being on video. I totally get that. So you can just ask via audio. That's all good too. Now, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom window, your Zoom bar, there's a little reactions button. It's like a little face with a plus. And what that allows you to do is raise your hand digitally. It lets me know that you have a question. And then I can unmute your mic for you, bring you on, and you can ask a question. You can, of course, throw the questions in the chat. And as stated earlier, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, I see your comments. I can see those. Like Ursagal, do you have art resources for crafters and art educators? Yes, we do. It's all just marketing. So that's how we can deal with the questions sort of from top to bottom and get into it. And what else? The question's going to be about anything, where you are in your business. You have a question about niche selection. You have a question about pricing. You're trying to figure out how to navigate a difficult gallery relationship. Whatever the question may be, it's all fair game. Love to answer all of them. And we're going to start with Elliot today. You're up first, Elliot. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. I'll let you know when you get it.
Yeah, on my question, I was fascinated by the live art show.
Good. You should be.
How does that happen? And you have to be a member. You have to go through all the previous steps, or you can go right to the live art show.
You can go right to the live art show, and you don't even need to be a member to do it. You just grab your phone, grab your laptop, go to the social network where you have the most following, turn it on, and start selling. Straight up.
How about if you don't have a large network for social?
Yeah, chicken and the egg problem then. So you do need to work on the marketing, right? And you do need to get some attention in so that you can do that. I mean, have you kept an email list at all?
I do have an email list. I have a fairly nice size email list, but
yeah,
the position I'm in, I've been in business for a long time, and I'm looking to wind down the business.
Okay.
And I'm sitting with inventory, a few hundred pieces from a lot of assorted artists. And I had a meeting yesterday with Alex. I was really fascinated by it, but I don't think I was really in a position to do all the marketing. I'm not really that well versed in social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the idea. So I'm looking for a venue. I'm actually in a pop-up store location now. I got 5,300 square feet
Mm-hmm.
that I'm sitting with right now, but I really would like to be out.
Yeah.
I like to be doing whatever I can to get rid of my inventory.
Got it. So, but you definitely want to wind the business down, and you don't want to continue growing it. You just want to move the inventory that you have.
Right.
Got it. Yeah. Um, we're probably definitely not the right fit for you in that case because, and I say that in full transparency because the last thing that I want you to do is go through a couple of years of pulling your hair out of your head to learn how to market just to build up a business that you don't want any part of, right? But I do highly recommend attempting the live art show to move that inventory, right? And certainly letting your list know that everything's on sale, everything must go, no reasonable offers refused. You take Venmo, you take PayPal. You'll work out shipping after the fact. I would certainly try doing that. And at the beginning of the month, we're going to kind of come out with like a public facing resource. So probably like first week August. So 9 days or whatever, or 10 days, 11 days, something like that. I would look to that, and that'll kind of give you some insights on how to go about doing it, and that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you.
But I think you're crazy if the work is selling well.
Yeah, everything's going well, but I'm old.
Yeah.
I could find another, I just had a birthday yesterday, so I'm ready to the next step, towards retirement. I've been doing it for a lot of years. So
Yeah.
I had a very successful art gallery selling art for many, many years. So really just winding down the art gallery.
Will you keep painting?
I'm not an artist.
Are you not an artist?
I've represented maybe hundreds of artists over the years.
Got it. So you're the
I'm not an
gallery.
artist.
You're the gallery that has all the art.
I have a really nice high-end gallery. I have a lot of great customers over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But I basically filled all the walls of all my customers.
Got it.
So the idea was their kids and the next step down. But I've represented so many artists over the years, and I've done very well in the art business. But I'm just looking now to wind down.
Yeah. So one other interesting thing is you have my email address, right? On Patrick@ArtStorefriends.
I do.
Send me an email and just memorialize the fact that you have that inventory and you're attempting to move it, and then I'll respond. I might have something else for you.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah. Thanks, Elliot. Good questions, and congrats on retirement. It's exciting. Good. It's good times right there, right? Okay. So I'm getting a couple of different questions, and then I'll get into the chat too. So from the socials, have you seen better success with artists who specialize in one type of art, or do you see the same or better with artists who do different types of art? So that's a great question, Kev, and it's a really flawed question, actually, because the premise underpinning your question is there's some sort of magical niche selection or some sort of magical media type or some sort of magical pricing or size that if you just knew you could apply to your business and it would work. And one of the things that I love about this business is there is literally everyone takes their own journey and their own path. And it makes zero sense sometimes to me because as a marketer and as like a data-driven marketer, I'm constantly attempting to look at my customers' data and sort of extract from it like, okay, how many social followers do they have? How many emails do they have on their list? How many sales are they running in a particular year? And you get that data set and you look at it and you're like, okay, I'm just looking for a way to value those various different things. And so I can give my customers a blueprint. And I am just continually left stupefied when I do, because there are people, okay, that have 1 million followers on Instagram. And then there are people that have 1,000 followers on Instagram. And sometimes the person with 1,000 followers on Instagram is outselling the person with 1 million 20x. 20x. It's not even close. It's not even the same sport. And how do you explain things like that, right? And there's just so many variables, Kevin, that goes into an art business. The subject matter, the material, who the target audience is, how good they are at their marketing, what their pricing is, timing, all of those various different things that there's literally no magical formula on any of those things that actually like really, really works. So you kind of just have to focus on doing you, and everyone has a different path that they go on. I mean, that's just sort of how you go through things. So I wish it wasn't the case. I wish there was a formula, but there's not. Aside from the fact that, you know, the artists that do their marketing and running sales on a regular basis usually do better than the others. Okay, Pamela, you have a question too, so I'm going to unmute you. You had a question. So the typical transaction flow from customer ordering, online payment, fulfillment, etc. Yep, I can give you some insight on that.
Okay, awesome.
So I should say that like we are an insanely flexible platform in the way that we do things, but I'll tell you how it for like typical sales, right? And let's nuance it to print sales rather than originals or commissions, because if you sell an original or commission, obviously you're going to be responsible for the shipping because you have the item, right? But for prints, the way that it works is with us, the artist owns absolutely everything. And what do I mean by that? You own the website. It's on your URL. Obviously, we provide it, but you own it. You have your own merchant account, okay, that's attached directly to your bank account. And we use Stripe. It's what everyone uses. It's a very simple setup. Order comes in. You get paid. The printer gets paid. We have 2 printers in the U.S. domestically that we integrate with in one click. And so order comes in, you get paid, printer gets paid, printer prints the order, printer puts it in a box, printer slaps your logo on the side of the box, printer ships it to the end customer. You touch nothing in that entire process. Nothing at all. All the emails, everything is handled for you. The order just goes off. That's the case of a print. Obviously, in a commission, same process, except you're responsible for shipping it because you have it, right? So that's sort of the process.
So when you're talking about commission, at what point am I writing you a check, or are you pulling it directly at the time of payment?
No. So if they order the commission on your website, the customer pays for it.
No, I mean your cut.
Oh,
your cut.
Our cut. Yeah. So
yeah.
There are transaction fees on the website, and they vary depending on what plan you're on. But if the order goes through the website, all of that's sorted automatically too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And am I responsible for remitting taxes, or to state governments, or what?
Yes.
Sales tax.
Yes. Each individual customer is responsible for that, and each state sort of has different rules. But we have crazy guidelines on how to sort all of it. It's not a problem at all.
Okay. When you say crazy guidelines, like what?
Like we explain everything, and we have customers in every single solitary state. So there's like a playbook, a guide to what you have to do in every state. I mean, we're not tax specialists, right? But we actually do have a tax specialist that talks about it from time to time. But the larger point is that it's not a problem for anybody. Everybody figures it out immediately, and you pay what you owe, and that's that.
Okay, and sales tax from another state, from the origin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean
So
it's usually a scenario like you have rules for you and your state and things that are shipped domestically, and then the rest of it is pretty easy to sort out.
Yeah, I'm in Texas, and
Mhm.
Texas is just the comptroller is actually being sued by the city of Round Rock
Mm-hmm.
because the comptroller has decided that the sales tax will be governed by the buyer's location as opposed to the seller's location,
Mm-hmm.
which would create its own little nightmare. So that's one of the reasons I brought up the sales tax, is that it's going to be really difficult to navigate all of that state by state, and then within the counties and within Texas, and it could be really messy.
Do you know how I always reply to that question? By the way, do you know what the hardest thing to do is? Make the sale. Do you know what's the easiest thing to do? Everything else.
I don't know. I've been in business before.
Yeah, but it's hard.
I don't know about that.
It's hard to sell. Like once you take care of the sale and you get that done, it's not so difficult to sort the taxes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, so bottom line though is I'm the remitter, and it automatically will calculate on the website. Is that
correct?
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, correct.
So I don't need to be calculating everything.
No, absolutely not.
And if the Texas comptroller is able to do this wacky kind of thing, and the city of Round Rock doesn't prevail, that means that every single county in Texas is going to have a different sales tax rate. Will you guys be able to keep up with all that?
Yeah, we will. Our company's based in Texas too, and that sounds like a headache.
Okay.
That sounds like a headache. I really hope that doesn't go through.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, me neither. I'm hoping Round Rock can prevail in court. So that was my big question.
Awesome. But yeah, I mean, I just know is like, we have this like private Facebook group. We call it Small Wins for our customers, and just by virtue of what gets posted in there, um, you know, I can sort of take the temperature on like what the hot button issues are, and taxes never ends up being one of them. So I don't know like the specifics, but I know we've got it sorted.
Yeah, well, I know most states have a cap, or not a cap, but a threshold that you have to reach, which is, I think it's like 200,000 here in Texas. So that's a lot of that's a lot of art in one year. Um, but at the same time, you still have to pay attention to what's going on in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Milan. And definitely stay one step ahead of the tax inspector. That's for sure. Okay, there was other questions in the chat. Hold on. Yeah, Elliot, people want to get in touch with you for whatever reason. I don't know why, but you just might want to throw your email in the chat. Charles has got questions on pricing. I love the questions on pricing. Charles, I'm going to unmute you. I'll let you know when you get it. I see. Are you there, Charles? Charles had a question about pricing. I kind of want to get into the specifics of it. And Elliot, there you are, Charles. I got you. Oh, no. Yeah, you're unmuted, Charles, but I'm not seeing any audio come through. I don't know if you're on the phone or if you're on the computer. If you're on the phone, I don't know what's going on. But if you're on the computer, in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a microphone, and then to the right of it is like a little up arrow. What happens sometimes is people get the wrong audio source, so you need to select a microphone, and my guess is you're probably on the wrong one. So I'm going to leave you unmuted, Charles, see if you can sort the IT, and if so, we'll get into your pricing question. I got a question on Facebook on how do you get the print signed and individually numbered by the artist. So we've got some pretty good sort of advice in terms of how that goes, Steve. What we sort of advocate people do is you have digitally signed prints and then you have hand signed prints. You charge extra for the hand signed prints, and what happens is that you will then put the order in, and instead of it going to your customer, it gets shipped to you. You take the print out of the bag, pull it out, sign it, number it, put it right back in with their packaging, seal it, and then ship it off to the customer. And you are going to incur an additional expense because you're going to have to ship the thing twice, ship it once to you, ship it once to them. So what we do, what we advise our customers do the majority of the time in those situations is charge extra for it, right? And give people the opportunity between no signature and hand signed, or a digital signature and hand signed. And that usually solves the majority of the problems, I think, in that situation. So that's what I would say. Okay, Doug's got an interesting question. I'll unmute you, Doug. Let me find you. And I'm unmuting you now, Doug, if you hit the mic icon in the bottom left. And there you go. So he's asking what the difference between our company and Saatchi is. So Saatchi is just a marketplace, right? Like, a marketplace is anywhere that you just upload your art and you expect them to do the selling for you. That's not what we are at all. We offer a website solution for the individual artist. The individual artist owns the website. The individual artist is responsible for the marketing. We teach you how to market all year long. And so you're driving traffic to your own site and making your own sales. I think the issue with the marketplace is, Saatchi notwithstanding, and talking to hundreds of people, it doesn't matter what marketplace it is. There are so few artists making any revenue of any measure on any of the marketplaces because you're just drowning in a sea of thousands of other artists. You're at the liberty of whether or not that particular marketplace wants to feature you prominently or not. And sadly, there's really not a good gallery where you can just upload all your stuff and then not do any work on your marketing and build a good business. And that's sort of the long and the short of it, I would say.
Okay. That's where I struggle is marketing, just getting attention.
I know.
Anywhere. I mean, I was going to try to go live on TikTok. I don't even have 1,000 followers on TikTok, so I can't even go live on TikTok. I can on Instagram, but
yeah,
I don't know. I go live and I get like 2 people watching. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. And the marketing in general is frustrating, and it's the number one thing that we do, right? Like, we sort of learned early on in our own journey that we couldn't just be a website provider. Like, the website's not enough. Most people don't even have the website problem, right? 99 out of 100 don't have a website problem, meaning If I was a genie in the lamp, I popped out of it. And I said, Doug, I'll move your website right now to any platform you want, wherever the heck it is, no problem. Boom. What would change in your business? Nothing.
Nothing.
Because it would be one website here with no one coming to it to a website over here with no one coming to it. There's no fundamental change. So we learned that if we want successful customers, we have to teach them to market, and we have to teach them to market all year long. And that's the ballgame, right? That's just what you have to do. And we're very good at that. That's our secret sauce, right? So that's what we teach you how to do. So instead of you just going live, how are you promoting the live, right? How are you warming up your email list? How are you letting them know that how the show goes on? When do you actually start the sale? Do you start the sale before the show, or do you start the sale during the show? How do you approach pricing on the show, right? How do you make sure you have the appropriate bandwidth in your place so that it works? Definitely include the dog in the shows, by the way. Everyone loves dogs. So, there's all these various different things that we've learned that we're good at, that we teach all year long. And it's the difference, right? Like, you have to be willing to just get into your head like, okay, I 100% have a damn marketing problem. I need to fix it. I know I need to fix it. And I'm not going to do it on my own. I know this because I've never done it on my own. And I've definitely never done it on my own consistently. What I've done is said, this is going to be my year, and I'm really going to work on my marketing. And then what did you go and do? You worked on your marketing for 3 months. You didn't get the results you want. You're like, it's not worth it, and you quit. No artist ever do it consistently. None. I mean, it's like such a small percentage. You have to be poked and prodded and dragged along, kicking and screaming, especially early on, to get there, right? And one of the interesting things. So, this is the stuff that you learn in the demo when you go about it. But how we attack the marketing problem. One, we have a calendar that tells you what to do 365 days a year. We're running a sale this week. Here's how you run a sale. Attached to the calendar, if we're asking you to do something, and let's just use your live art show example, we will have what we call playbooks. It's like the digital do-it-yourself education, right? Here's how to run a live art show. Here's how to run a live art show with your phone and a computer, how to go live on Instagram at the same time as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, whatever you like. Here's how you announce the show. Here's how you tease the show. Here's how you contemplate pricing. Here's how you contemplate what you say during the show, all that, right? And that's all well and good to have that digital education. Not enough. No one ever does do-yourself digital education. Not enough. Like, you look at all the stats out there. Masterclass, lynda.com, Kajabi, any of those things. 35% of the people that buy those courses actually finish them because no one wants to learn that way, right? It's a pain in the butt. So what we do is we put the entire customer base in Tuesday, Thursday sessions on Zoom. And what ends up happening is you're learning all of these various different things with your peers, with a cohort of your peers that are in the same boat that you are. And that's sort of been like the biggest secret sauce learning we've had because one, it keeps everyone accountable. Two, various people will get wins. They will come on. They will talk about the wins. You will get to see exactly what they did to get the win. And then you're like, damn it, if that person did it, they're just like me. I can do it, right? Those various different things and that structure we're finding is like the secret sauce to keeping people accountable and actually showing up and putting in the work week in and week out. It's the only thing that moves the needle. It's the only thing that ever has moved the needle, right? Like you have to do that work. You have to do it consistently. And that's the secret sauce of what we do. That's like why we cost what we cost, because I have to have an army of people to train you to market week in, week out, forever, and it never stops. It never stops. You want to make it as an artist, as a photographer. You want to stop being a hobbyist, and you actually want to have some income coming in. Take it from zero to side hustle, from side hustle to full-time job, from full-time job to actually building wealth. You have to do the one thing no one else wants to do: market consistently all year long. I mean, it's just the truth of it. If you do it, though, the good news is, this industry is going through its blockbuster Netflix moment. It's going through its Uber taxi cab moment, meaning the old traditional exploitative gallery model. Sorry, Elliot, not aiming this at you. Exploitative gallery model in which the gallery takes 50% of the sale and leaves you with no information on your collector is being obliterated right now. Galleries are going out of business, left, right, and center, as they have. The online marketplaces aren't really doing anything. So you have the ability, as a result of the internet, as a result of being able to have a website, as a result of being able to do these live art shows, to actually like significantly make a living from your art, more so than any other time in history. And I'm massively fascinated by that. And as a final, I want to highlight something that I really like here. And there's a book. Okay, I love this book. This is another one I think you guys should read. The $12 Million Stuffed Shark. Right, The Curious Economics of Contemporary Art. Did it come out in 2010? I think it came out in 2010 or 2011. Where is it? 2010. So it did come out in 2010. So you have to kind of adjust for the fact that, obviously we're 11 years down the line, so the numbers are a little bit different. But it goes into some of the business of the contemporary art market, which I find really interesting. And they've got this stat in the book, okay? And it says that it's behind me, and I'm just reading it. So I know it's going to be too hard to see. Just going to track with me. There are 40,000 artists in residence in London. There are 40,000 artists in residence in New York, 80,000 artists in total. And this is how the numbers break down according to this book. Out of the 80,000, there are 75 what they call superstar artists, meaning artists making over $1 million a year, full-time representation, all that. 0.09% are making over $1 million a year. There are 300 out of the 80,000 mature, successful, six-figure a year plus artists. So anyone making over 100,000 to under $1 million a year. 0.38% of the 80,000, okay? The next tier down is 5,000 out of the 80,000. And the 5,000 are essentially making money but under six figures a year, okay? They are making money but under six figures a year. They have some representation, but they have some sort of a side job or a supportive spouse, right? And you look at those numbers, 6.72% of the people that call them artists in those two very, very popular mainstay cities are actually making something approaching a living out of their art. That is one of the most depressing things I've ever seen in my life. 6.7%. Why would any of you guys want to be artists or photographers, right? But what's cool for me is I get to contrast that, and it's like, it's not like there's census data on artists and there's like some report that's like the be all end all that like truly says where things are at. But I get to contrast it with my numbers, and my numbers of my customers are significantly higher than that, like massively higher. Like I have a very large portion of my customer base that have extremely revenue positive businesses. Many over six figures a year, many approaching the $1 million mark, many that year one sell 20 or 30,000, right? So the path is there. The path is there. You just got to get on the path and follow it. And it's a lot of what I outline. Like it's a great time to be an artist or a photographer. It is a phenomenal time to be an artist or photographer. You have a business with truly the potential for worldwide distribution, right? And I see that time and time again. My buddy, the Canadian guy with the tank top, he sold those 62 pieces. He had to ship pieces to Canada. He had to ship pieces to the United States. He had to ship a couple to Mexico and Central America, and a few to Europe and one to Asia. Like, that's phenomenal. That's amazing, right? So I'm extremely bullish on what's possible for artists and photographers right now. But that's not for me to sugarcoat it. You have a couple crappy years of pulling your hair out of your head and learning how to market. You do that. You get through that, you start doing it consistent, you're on a path. Otherwise, you're just going to be running around looking for a solution that's easy, this one, that one, the other one, none of which ever work. So I'm bullish, but I'm also a realist in the sense that you got to grind, and you have to do the work on the marketing. But when you do, you control your own destiny. Sorry, Doug, I went on kind of a long-winded rant there, but I'm going to unmute you again. I don't know if you had any follow-ups. You're good? You have to unmute again, Doug. You have to unmute because you muted again, bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, so the long and the short is we can help you, but the first year is going to suck because I got to teach you.
I left a gallery right before COVID hit.
Yeah.
I've been trying to be online since then. I even had an email list thing. I didn't have anybody sign up or anything. It's been kind of pathetic, actually.
Yeah, it's okay. You know. Everyone has to attempt to sell their art to strangers. Once you've gotten up and over that hurdle, then you have a marketing problem. And that's the game.
Sure.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, it's going to go Lynn and then Delbert. Lynn, go ahead. And you'll need to unmute.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Does your setup integrate with Artwork Archive?
No.
Not at all.
I'm not even aware what Artwork Archive is, actually.
It's a way of inventorying art, and you can keep track of all your paintings and set up these little rooms, the private viewing rooms.
Mm-hmm. How is that working for you? Are you selling as a result of it?
Oh, it has nothing to do with selling. I mean, it would help selling to have a record of where your art goes. It's a database, basically.
Yeah. No.
So it just helps you keep track of things. Okay, that was one question. The other question is, can you explain the bronze, gold, and silver levels and what those cost and what those include?
Yes, ish. By which I mean I'm not 100% up to speed on it, just because we are like a siloed world at Art Storefronts. The outreach sales guys stay in their world, and gals, I stay in mine in the marketing. But the difference between the plans are, one, there's some bells and whistles that you get on the top plan that you don't get like website software, that practically speaking you don't need. All three plans you get 100% of the marketing education, which, in, you know, I'm a marketer to a marketer, you know, to a hammer everything looks like a nail. So you get the same marketing education, all three. There's various different bells and whistles. There are lower transaction fees at the higher plans, and the higher plans a lot of times include multiple years. So you get a discount because you're buying multiple years. What's interesting about those plans, notwithstanding how cynical it's going to sound on my part because I know they're more expensive, but you look around at this industry and it's like, what have artists done for years and years and years? They have moved from one website to another website, or one website to a marketplace, from one marketplace to another marketplace. And what's consistent in all of those is there's no financial commitment really for any of them. It's $29 a month, or it's free for the first 6 months, or in the marketplace, all you do is just upload things. And what's interesting is when you don't have a financial commitment, your motivation to work ends up matching that commitment, right? Like, I'm not going to do anything this month. What do I care? It's only $29. Well, when you give us the amount of money that you do, it turns out it ratchets. You're sort of burning your boat, you know? And there's no way for me to say this without sounding cynical, right? Like, yeah, of course, the guy trying to hawk software is telling me like, but I'm telling you, it's amazing, because people are like, if I just spent that much damn money, I am making this thing work, right? I am going to be committed to getting it done and cranking, right? And like, look, you get good results. Like, look at Catherine. Started live in April, had 67 orders. It's a grind, but the marketing plan is awesome. And you could ask Catherine. She's pulling her hair out of her head learning the damn marketing. Everyone is, but it's the key. And, you know, we're a website platform like all the rest of the website platforms, in the sense that we charge a monthly fee. Everything else that you pay goes to my staff, an army of marketers that are making all of these assets, that are supporting you the entire time, that are teaching you on a weekly basis, that's updating the calendar, and all of those various different things. So that's sort of what sets us apart from everyone else.
Oh, I think your setup is great. I think what you're doing is really very, very well done.
I appreciate that, Lynn.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And don't worry about the inventory thing. Like, look, if once you start selling a bunch, then you have an inventory problem. Until then, you can sell, update the inventory by hand. Sell, update when you come and tell me, Patrick, I'm selling too much to keep this updated, I will hire the intern for you. I promise. Right?
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. One of the things more than anything else that's fun for me that I get to do is, you know, keep my customers focused on the only thing that matters, which is, first, the premise. I don't want to be a hobbyist anymore. I want to have a real art business. I want it growing. I want the sales figures of year 1, year 2, year 3 constantly growing, you know, up. And I'm not talking about hockey stick growth or any of that nonsense. It is a slog and it is slow, but the business gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year, and you just keep learning and getting better at the marketing. But one of the fun things is, like, you know, to keep my customers focused on the problems that matter, right? And the problems that matter are selling more. And so everything I'm going to talk about is selling more. So do I love the fact you have the inventory software? Awesome. Yes, I do. Is it helping you move art? No, it's not. Then I don't want you wasting time on it, Lynn, because you don't have an inventory problem. You have a marketing and sales problem. Let's fix that one, right? Let's fix that one first. Excuse me, guys. I'm getting over a cold. Okay, Delbert, you're up next.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I am also impressed with what you're offering. I like it. The only problem is I don't want to be a low-cost leader, and I don't expect you to act like one either.
Yep.
But I do need to have a good idea of what this actually costs.
Yep.
And I don't really have that with this briefing.
Yep. I can tell you where it starts. So the baseline plans start at like $999 down, under $1,000, and then I think $49 a month is where it starts, and then it goes up from there.
So we're starting at 1K, then it's how much per month?
$49 a month, I think. But request a demo and ask them. You don't even have to go through the full demo. They know all the pricing and all the ins and outs and the plans and the deals. So it's best to just have that phone call. Like, the initial phone call is like, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes where you get all those questions answered. But going back to, well, does that answer the price question? And then I want to deal with your low cost leader one.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you just said.
Oh, did that answer the pricing question? Because I want to go to your low cost leader statement next.
Yes, that pretty much answered the question. Just like I said, I don't want to sound like I don't value what you're offering. I just want to make sure that I can afford it.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
New.
Yeah.
I am not established. I don't have a mailing list or any of that. And the only photography that I've been selling in the past was fitness photography when I actually did individuals versus selling as art. And I'm trying to move into the art phase of it because most everybody is like really impressed with the style of photography that I've been doing. So I was like, well, I wonder if other people would like to hang this kind of stuff on their wall as well. And I definitely want to do things that are going to be much more on the artistic side. So this seems like the right forum to come to.
Yeah, we can help you out a bunch, but I also think like there are so many photographers that are in your boat, right? And you know, you have a service portion of your business, right? In your case, the fitness side of things. By all means, keep that going and keep that rocking because early on, especially, you need as many revenue sources as possible. And then, you know, that's your normal service silo. This silo is going to be your fine art business, and it's going to take a while to grow. But the platform will sort of empower you on both sides of it. One, the marketing applies to both. It'll help you grow the service business, as it will help you grow the fine art print business. Two, you know, all service-based photographers think like, oh, I've got all these people that I do business with, but you know, I don't really want to email them my fine art, or I don't think they would buy my fine art. And so you do a terrible job of even communicating the fact that you're selling fine art. That's another huge part of it. Number three, most service-based photographers, and this infuriates me, and you're going to get me going on a rant here, but you are essentially just trading dollars for hours, right? And let's say you charge $100 an hour. And so your average session goes 2 hours. So your AOV, your average order value for a session is $200. And so you can book a bunch of sessions and you can get paid $200 a session, but there's a finite amount of hours in the day. You're not going to be booked all the day. So you have a limit that you hit there, right? And so I look at that as an entrepreneur, as a business person, and I say, okay, how am I going to take Delbert's business? He's got an AOV of $200. How am I going to increase that, right? And the way you're going to increase that is you're going to bolt in print sales to the particular sessions that you have. And so what you're going to do every time you show up to one of these fitness sessions, hold on, let me grab my stack. You're going to have a little stack of prints that looks like this. And you're going to be like, hey, fitness person, just to let you know, okay, in addition to taking the photos, I also offered prints. I have it all plugged into my website, which is really, really easy. And, you know, look, I know you don't want to go to Costco with these things, okay, or go to the local printer or anything else. And so what I do is I keep a stack of these particular prints so that people can look at the various different media types. Here it is. You can check it out. I've got fine art paper, and I have a green screen, so some of these things are going to look a little wonky. I have a fine art paper print that's framed. It's ready to hang. And I have canvas prints that I can offer, framed, ready to hang, look really, really good on the wall. I've got metal prints, which is one of the new sexiest mediums. Most people have never seen these. I don't know if you've seen these. Do you want to hold it and look at it? So it's printed on a very thin sheet of metal. You don't need to frame it. It's ready to hang on the wall. It's beautiful. The detail is incredible, right? Then you show acrylic. Then you show wood. And if you do this intelligently, Delbert, and you tell people like, look, you know, it's a first time special for all of my fitness customers. I'll give you 25% off on the prints, right? And you're going to end up hitting that out of the park a whole bunch of times. And so what's going to end up happening is your fitness sessions, instead of being $200 on an average order value, you're going to go to like $260 or $270 or $275. And that's part of the ball game, right? Like, we'll not only help you make the fine art print business grow, but we'll also give you some more options and some education on how you can grow the service portion of the business, which is just critically important. And yeah, I mean, with fitness would be awesome. You're taking those things in an interesting way. By the way, when you're really in shape and you have a photo of yourself on the wall really in shape, guess what that does? It encourages you to stay really in shape. So there you have another way of selling those things. So that's what I would say about all that. But you muted, Delbert. I don't know if you have any follow-ups. I'm going to unmute you again.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, next up is Ron.
Yeah. Hey, so I understand you guys integrate with MailChimp.
We do.
Do you pay MailChimp separately, or is that part of the monthly?
You do pay them separately, but MailChimp starts out as a free plan. And what happens is, I think after you get over 1,000, then you start paying MailChimp. But once you get over 1,000, and once we teach you how to use MailChimp, you will more than cover the monthly fees for MailChimp, which is reasonable. But yeah, you need an email service provider no matter who you're with.
Okay, so follow-up question: Do you guys work with any? Do you work with any? Integrate with any other email marketing? Like I'm very familiar with Infusionsoft or Keep. I own another business that's not related to art at all, and we do all of our email marketing through that. So I'm familiar with that platform already. Just curious if you guys integrate with that, or if you only integrate with MailChimp, or kind of how that works.
Yeah, we've only integrated with MailChimp up to this point, just because, by and large, blanket statement, most artists are not the most technologically advanced. They definitely do not know what Confusionsoft is, and they definitely do not need Confusionsoft.
Yes. Aptly named Confusionsoft.
Yes, aptly named indeed. But also too, like, you know, and I'm guilty of this as much as any human being on the planet, because I'm a huge tech nerd and I love automation and I love the concept of automation, but automation does not move the needle in an art or photography business, right? Like, you cooking up a bunch of recipes in Infusionsoft about the various different things to do is not the most valuable use of your time. And I see that time and time again. Do you know what is? What no one ever wants to hear about is doing the things that don't scale. You will get more ROI, okay, out of replying and sending emails directly from your regular email than you will sending from MailChimp or Confusionsoft, because it doesn't scale, right? Anytime something doesn't scale, i.e. you can't do it 1,000 times, i.e. if I told you to write personalized cards to every collector on your list, that doesn't scale. You can only write a finite amount of those, right? Because time and everything else. So you'll end up getting more ROI out of it. And so we just don't see, we have like a really robust API, and our software we wrote from the ground up, and you know, all our programmers are in-house, so it's very easy for us to do these things. And we've looked at integrating with some other ones, but we just don't see the ROI of it in terms of time. So the long and the short is, yes, you could use it. Yes, you would just have to export your list. Yes, that would be a little bit of a pain in the butt. But again, I think there's more important things to work on than cooking up those automated recipes.
Sure. Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. But it's awesome that you know how to use that, and it is really powerful when you have a huge list and you can play the segmentation games. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult to learn MailChimp as well.
Oh my gosh, it's so easy. It is so easy. That's why we use it.
Well, my understanding is it's a lot simpler than Infusionsoft is.
It's my understanding that everything is more simpler than Infusionsoft.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for answering my question. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Awesome, Rob. Okay, Doug was asking, do you host the site? Yeah, we host the site. So you use your URL, you point it to your art storefronts install. We host everything else, and yeah, that's how that goes. You know, pretty simple. And yes, Gustavo, we definitely work with artists all over the world. It wasn't so easy for us to do that early on, but then the pandemic hit, and then instead of just being a company based in Texas, we're now like a company of the world, right? Like, we have employees literally all over the world. No joke. We have employees in North America, Central America, South America, all over Europe, on Africa, and in Asia. So we can now support customers all over the world, and various different languages too. Gustavo, I assume you probably speak more Spanish than you do English. I'm gonna unmute you, Gustavo. Where do you live, just out of curiosity?
Hi, I'm from Spain. You're right.
Yeah.
I speak Spanish much more than English.
Yep. Where Gustavo, are you selling currently obviously in Spain, and you're trying to bust into the US North American markets too? Is that correct?
Well, I am starting out. Although I am 40, my career is not related to art, but I would like to start. Okay. And I am completely lost, and I need marketing, and I need how to navigate in this world, because it's completely new for me.
Yeah.
And painting, it's only a detail of everything.
Got it. Yeah, it's cool, right? Because you can absolutely have an international business in today's day and age. One, doesn't matter if it's Spanish or English, you have a marketing problem, right? And two, you know, one of the fun things that you can end up doing with our software is it gives you a footprint and a foothold in the North American markets, meaning you can sell direct fulfill orders, and then you take care of the ones that you have domestic in Europe, right? Because we don't have print partners in Europe currently. and it gives you an opportunity to attack both of those markets at the same time, which is nice.
Okay.
But yeah, we can help you. And,
Right, nice.
and congratulations. I don't know if you're a soccer fan, but Spain did pretty good in the Euros.
Yeah, thank you.
I was enjoying watching it. I love soccer. Okay, that's Gustavo. I'm scrolling up through the questions. If anyone else has some other ones, let me know. Delbert, I got yours. Sandeep, I think I answered the pricing ones, but again, like, you know, if this is the first time when you're on this call and you're like, you know, this is the first time you heard about us, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. But we are having a huge sale for summer, and a summer sale, and especially because we want people to get up, running, rolling, and ready for Q4. The fourth quarter is when more art is sold traditionally than any other time all year long. So that's a big one. So we do have a huge sale. So point being, if you're like, okay, this is interesting, these guys know what they're talking about, I'm at least curious, request the demo, talk to those people, find out what all the pricing is, find out what all the packaging is. If you want to see the demo, great. If you don't worry, they'll never call you again, but at least you leave with all the intel, and you know enough to make a decision. Because no joke, Q4 is coming, and I think it's going to be a big one. And I'm also, I'm eternally an optimist, but I do believe that this Delta variant COVID thing is going to be nasty come winter, and we're going to be right back into a, how art was sold last COVID. So you got to be up, you got to be running, you have to be working on your marketing, and if you do that, you're gonna end up being in a good spot. So that's what I would say. As I'm getting over a cold that my children lovingly gave me. Yeah. What else? Any other questions? Ralph, you've been brave. You've had your camera on the whole time. You got to have a question. I'm not letting you off the hook that easy. I'm going to unmute you, Ralph.
None at the moment, Patrick. I just really like what I see. I'm really impressed with the company.
Cool. What do you do? Are you artist or photographer?
Photographer.
What kind of stuff do you shoot?
I shoot a lot of night photography.
Okay.
And I do a lot of light painting. So I do some still life light painting type stuff.
I love that stuff. I follow some of that wacky stuff on Instagram sometimes, and spinning the things and painting your name and all the rest. Right. I dig it for sure. And have you tried to sell it?
No, I've been shooting for a super long time, but it's been all commercial editorial stuff.
Okay.
I did do some shows in the past here and there, sold a few pieces, but it was always more about commercial and editorial. And now I really want to dive into this. I think that this is, it's a really good avenue to hit.
Yeah. And you've got the commercial portion of the business still going. So
yeah. And I'm not going to lie, COVID did do a number on it for sure.
Oh, 100%. God, 100%. Yeah. Everyone. We saw it with every single solitary one of our customers. Freaking brutal. And are you not a little bit worried that this Delta bullshit is going to come back and we're going to go through the whole thing again?
Yeah. Of course. We don't know what the future holds with any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Us too. And just out of curiosity, you're wearing a Hurley shirt. Are you California based?
I'm in Orange County. Yeah. Aliso Viejo.
Yeah. Do you know that I'm literally you have to understand, we know our own here, right? Like I'm 2 cities north of you in Newport Beach.
Newport, all right.
Yeah. So,
I was just at Fashion Island 2 days ago, actually. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. So, yeah, we can help you. Yeah, you need to learn the marketing. Yeah, you need to figure out, I'm fascinated by the photography niche in general, and I'm fascinated by it in the sense that in many ways it's way easier than an artist. And I mean that in the sense of actually getting paid for what you love to do, right? Which is using the camera, because you have multiple different opportunities for revenue, right? Right. I look at what you do with night painting, and I know what that entails and how cool that is. And maybe we come up to COVID again and things are dodgy, and maybe I teach you to market, and maybe you post on Facebook that you're willing to do Christmas cards with night painting, and here's how it would look like. And that might just be like a little $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 hit just because you did that, right? Artists don't have that so easy, not at least as easy. So I think understanding, especially as a photographer, like the path to success and stability is multiple different revenue sources. And then understanding that, number one, and then cultivating it. So accentuating the print aspects of your business, right? Yes, having the service portion of your business going, but again, that's trading dollars for hours, and it doesn't scale, right? And then constantly building the passive print side of the business too. And I don't know how much money is in those night prints and how many people are going to buy it, but that's not the only stuff you shoot. You shoot some other stuff here and there. So it's like,
Right.
how do we look at that from top to bottom and work on growing all of it? So excuse me, that's what I would say.
All right.
But see you around.
All right. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah. Okay. I had a question from YouTube. I'll answer this one quickly. I see it. Hold on. Yeah, Noel, if you're representing your grandfather who lives in a different state, yes, there's 100% value in doing the live art show. You have the family connection. Do it, Noel. Go for it. And in many cases, that's interesting. You've got a grandpa, and you're looking to build the business, and that art could sell for years to come. So you would be the one doing the show. Record a video of him waving and incorporate it. And other than that, you're good to go. So I would say yes, definitely do that. All right. What else? Any other questions, guys, before we wrap her up? Call it a day. Enjoyed it. Thought there were some good questions today. I really, as a final, I cannot underscore enough this live art show thing, you guys. I have never seen anything like it in my entire life in terms of a marketing technique, tactic, and ability to move product. And one of the things that we realize is that, like, I have a division within the company that is responsible for the sum total of things that are sold on our customers' websites. It's called GMV, right? And so my goal is to constantly increase that number. And I realized early on how big of a thing the live art shows are going to be. I was a huge nerd, streaming a bunch. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the future. And it's not like I'm a wizard of smart. There's a whole bunch of other people that saw it early. China was like really early to this party, and they were leading, and we're all basically just copying them. And going live for the first time is freaking terrifying, okay? Being on live video, freaking terrifying. I get it. It's terrifying for people that understand technology. Prior to the pandemic, okay, I was never once on video. I hate video, okay? I have a face for radio. I hate being on video. I hate it. But I'm contrarian enough to understand it's the future and that things needed to change. And so prior to the pandemic, started going all in on live everything, right? This session is live on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, in a Facebook group, right? On LinkedIn. It's not on LinkedIn. Something's broken. But in addition to the Zoom call here, right? Like we're pushing the envelope and streaming even just ourselves. And where I'm going with it is we realized, okay, guys, run live art shows. Not enough would do it. Okay, guys, run live art shows. Not enough would do it. Okay, they're terrified. They're not going to do it. So we've since started grabbing customers and just running them for them, right? With them the first time, with under sort of this premise of teach a man to fish, right? If you teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime, that whole thing. And now that's working out. We're running the first one. They're like, oh my God, nothing broke. I did drop a painting. My cat came into the room. I spilled wine on myself, but nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore. You don't need the production value, and your hair doesn't need to be perfectly coiffed or any of the rest of that nonsense. You can do this. But what's been interesting is the data, and I'm tracking the data, and I can tell you out of the last 10 customers that we ran a live art show with, and we help them with the technology and go through the whole song and dance. If you guys become members, you'll understand this. And out of the 10, 8 out of the 10, and I just ran this initiative like literally in this last week, 8 out of the 10 sold more on the one show than they did in their previous 6 months. Okay? In their previous 6 months of just doing normal marketing and doing everything you can. And I look at that and I'm like, my goodness. I mean, this is just such a massive disruption to the way things are done. You have so many people that want to hide behind sort of the anonymity of modern marketing, right? Like you put out a tweet, a Facebook post, you send an email and you want people to come to your website. This forces you to do in-person selling. It forces you to actually merchandise and talk about your pieces and hold them. And my goodness, is it a game changer? It is the future, full stop. I want you guys all doing it. We're going to have a huge announcement come August 1st on this. But please, if nothing else, understand it's the future, full stop. Video commerce is going to disrupt this industry like nothing I have ever seen. And you know, there's only two kind of people. One, the ones that know, and the ones that don't. You guys are all the one kind of people now. You all know. Then there's number two, the people that have said, screw it. I'm grabbing this today. I'm going to press the damn button and do it. And realizing it wasn't the end of the world. They didn't die. It didn't kill them. They actually kind of had fun, and then go do 1,000 of them, because it's the future. It's the future, full stop. So, all right. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Great show. Really enjoyed it. If you're interested, definitely just request the demo. Do the test drive. If you don't want them to call you ever again, tell them pound sand. Don't ever call me again. I'm not ready. I'll call you. But you'll at least have the full top to bottom, understand what we do, all the bells and whistles, all the rest of it. And yeah, that's what I got. Thanks, guys. Good session. Appreciate y'all.